Hello and welcome to the new podcast of Access Denied. Today we are going to talk about something we do not hear a lot in the access movement, which is about organ transplantation. And we are going to talk to someone whose introduction cannot be justified easily because it will take the entire episode. But in short, we are going to talk to Dr. Sanjay Nagral. He is a Mumbai based gastrointestinal surgeon and also a specialist of liver transplants. If you put his name on Google, he is among the top 10 surgeons in India. But I think more importantly, he is co-chair of something called the Declaration of Istanbul Custodian Group and also the chairperson of the Forum of Medical Ethics, which is an India-based organization. So he looks at the ethics of transplantation, and that is something not probably many people work on. What are the ethics? How do more and more people should be able to get transplants, who all need it, and these are the kind of things we are going to talk to him about. So welcome to the show, Dr. Nagral. I think we can begin by basically asking who all need transplants, organ transplants. Why is it a very important, or is it a very important procedure, treatment for various diseases, and what are the possibilities if this people have access to it?
So the individuals who are suffering from end stage or very advanced failure of certain organs in the human body, which can be transplanted, because not all organs can be transplanted, but those which can be transplanted are the ones who benefit from a transplant. So commonly, the transplants that are performed are historically the first one that was performed was the kidney. Kidney is about started in the mid 40s. Historically, it's the oldest organ, and then of course now the liver is being transplanted because for liver failure, the heart, the lung, and what we are also witnessing in the last decade or two is now, with the success of these organs, surgeons and clinicians are moving towards transplanting organs which may not strictly necessary for sustaining life, but certainly improve the quality of life of an individual. So the hand has been transplanted, both the hands, for
Okay.
people who lost their hands, let's say in an accident. The larynx, which is the voice box, which is if it's been removed for, let's say, cancers. The face has been transplanted. Now, this is of course extremely rare. So the number of organs being transplanted is increasing, but a large majority when we talk of transplantation is kidney, liver, and heart, lung. A bit of pancreas, because pancreas also is an organ which supplies very important things like insulin. Yeah?
Right.
Essentially, all these organs, when they reach a particular stage of damage, uh, and when it becomes extremely difficult to live a normal life, or if it becomes life threatening, which means that there is imminent death. So, these are the situations in which the transplant is recommended, either with imminent death uh, or if the quality of life is poor. There is a difference between the kidney and other organs, because the kidney you have dialysis, so you have a machine which keeps you going. It acts like an artificial kidney. But for the other organs, we don't have any artificial support. And therefore, for the other organs, it's absolutely life saving sometimes to quickly do a transplant. Kidney, you can take them through with dialysis, but life with a transplant for somebody with kidney failure is vastly superior to dialysis. Because dialysis involves at least three visits to a hospital. It involves being hooked on to a
Three
machine,
visits a week.
3 visits a week,
Okay.
and being hooked on to a machine for at least an hour or two. More importantly, dialysis has lots of side effects. Therefore, that's
Infections.
right. So transplantation, of course, it has its own side effects. But if you compare it with the impact that dialysis makes on you, the impact of transplantation is much less, and it ensures a much more near normal life. I would not call it a normal life, but a near normal life.
So then how much would this entire thing, say in India at the moment, how much does that cost, and what is the situation in the public sector and the private sector?
So that's of course an important question because no technology or no procedure by itself is meaningful to a country unless people can access it. Now, how much? So, I'll give you some rough figures, a range of figures, because as you know, India is there is a variety of facilities, variety of hospitals. Having said that, generally speaking, for a kidney transplant, it would cost someone somewhere between 6 to 8 lakhs for the procedure. I must immediately add that there is also post-operative expense in terms of the immunosuppression tests, etc. The liver, of course, more complicated and costs the official sort of packages that hospitals offer is about 22 lakhs, but effectively, uh, given the cost before the procedure, given the cost after the procedure, and there's fairly prolonged recovery, I would say most patients or families end up spending about 30 to 35 lakhs in the entire procedure. And that's what makes it a challenge because clearly, first of all, given the situation in India, number one, many people are paying out of pocket. Insurance may some of the policies cover, but majority don't. So most people end up paying out of pocket for transplantation.
So, yeah, but sorry to stop you, but we do have some insurance which covers, because most of the insurance wouldn't cover transplants. Kidney still they do, liver they
Yeah. So
do,
so in terms of
and
so public sector hospitals, of course, charge lesser. I mean, they should be charging lesser, and it's a given. So, for example, in a public sector hospital, a kidney transplant cost about 2 to 3 lakhs. Liver transplants, a very few of them are done in the public sector, but those who do it, I think, charge in the range of 10, 12, 14 lakhs. But as I said, most people end up doing it in the private sector, and therefore the cost is much more. Now, if it comes to insurance payouts, so many policies do not pay for transplantation, so that's one challenge. Secondly, some of them will pay for the procedure but not pay for the post-operative immunosuppression. Thirdly, many of them have caps. But we must remember that in India, personal insurance penetration is still very low. I think the figure is not more than 10%. So therefore, what happens to the other 90%?
because the paying premium itself is quite
Is
costly.
quite high,
It is.
and
Uh,
so now there is the schemes, the mass-based insurance schemes. Some of them are supporting kidney transplantation in up to a particular cost. So, for example, PMJY supporting kidney. But again, if you look at costs in the private sector, they are way above the packages of the state-sponsored schemes. So people end up spending
a lot out of pocket
lot out of
on this.
pocket. The other thing is that unfortunately, all these schemes still have not been able to empanel a large part of the private sector hospitals who do transplants. So, as a result, for example, liver, in terms of accessing liver transplantation, many of those schemes are not available in the hospitals who do them because most of the more complicated, sophisticated transplant like liver, heart, etc., are being performed essentially by the large, what we now call the corporate hospitals, the corporate hospital chains. And therefore, the bottom line is that most people are paying out of pocket. They end up spending a lot of the money. Many of them end up selling their homes,
Property,
selling
home.
assets. So that's the classic story that we see in healthcare. But this is multiplied many times, and the costs don't even stop there.
How much would immunosuppressants cost on a monthly basis? Again,
So immunosuppressants costs, first of all, they are slightly higher in the early part and then they go down. Thankfully, there are now a lot of Indian branded generics which are available, which have brought down the cost. When first we did some of our earliest liver transplants, for example, and that was about 15 years ago, immunosuppressants would cost patients about 25, 30,000 per month. But
okay.
today it costs them about 8 to 10,000.
Okay, so this
So
is a drop of significant drop, so one
significant.
third
Yeah,
the
yeah,
amount,
yeah.
and this is because of the generic
Because of the
manufacturers,
generics,
patents gone off.
yes, costs have come down. Many more companies, Indian companies, competition. So costs have come down.
Right.
But it's a lifelong cost. There's also a lifelong cost of blood tests because we have to monitor the transplanted organ very closely. And then there is a third thing, which is that they often end up with complications, infections, which necessitate sometimes readmission to hospital. It necessitates sometimes interventions, drugs, new drugs. So all I'm saying is that we are looking at the immediate cost and a cost spread out over at least the first 1 year where they are prone to problems. So it's significant. And incidentally, it's if you look at the global situation, one would tend to think that since it is complicated, it must be costly everywhere. But in those countries where transplantation is commonly performed, which is largely the developed Western world and some countries in the global south, most of the countries, I would say 95%, it's performed under some form of universal health care. Europe is completely universal health care, so transplantation is supported. So you don't pay anything out of pocket, there is no payment. The US insurance usually pays. There are certain countries of the global south where transplantation is so Brazil, for example, or South America. Again, it's third party payment either through universal health care, which is government funded, or sometimes combinations of government funding and co-pay. So some countries like Thailand and all perform transplantation with these kind of models. So India is unique because people are paying out of pocket, and I think that's what is a big challenge. A big challenge.
So, what is the need in India, and how much have been able we been able to meet? Because looks like we do not have a model which is people friendly and pocket friendly. So, I assume that people are not able to get it
So
who need.
yeah. So first of all, let me put it to you this way: that most estimates show that, let's say, those suffering from kidney disease who are candidates for a kidney transplant. Currently, not more than 5% of them actually get a transplant.
5%. In India, if 100 people require transplant
Only
which can
about
save lives, only 5
only
of
about five would
5
get
of
there.
them.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the fault lines in terms of access are firstly the costs, the availability. Also, India is kind of unique because some states seem to be able to offer much better access,
All right.
both because their facilities are better developed, there are more donations. So, in the southern states, for example,
Right.
uh, and the western part of the country, donations are many more.
So we have kidney transplants costing say 6 lakhs and liver transplant costing 35, but that is in private sector. If we take the profit out of it, in public sector the doctor salaries are being paid by the government and etc, many things happen. How much would it cost if just the government starts to?
So, of course, that argument that even in the public sector there are costs involved. Of course, there are. Having said that, the public sector is meant to deliver treatment free, right?
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
So, I think in terms of the costs in the public sector, so if one actually calculates the expense in terms of the medications, the consumables, etc.,
Yeah.
the cost of the transplant for a kidney transplant should be about 2 lakhs. For a liver, we have done some costing, it's about 8 to 9 lakhs. The rest are all notional charges in the private sector and profits.
So we
Uh,
can bring the cost down to one third,
it can be, and
which
the
then
government
government
hospital
can support then fully.
and government actually it's very much a part of modern therapeutics now, transplantation.
Yes.
So any government large super specialized hospital, the aims, and they should be providing these services. So kidney, yes, about 20% is being done in the public sector, it is cheaper. But liver, unfortunately, it's only about 2 or 3% that's performed in the public sector. So it's a big challenge. But just one more point is that we talk in terms of costs and expense, and we say transplantation is to be performed uh, so that a person's life is quality of life is better and saving lives. But it's also about often young individuals, go
Right.
back, support their families, work, communities, the society around them. So they become active individuals. This is not individuals who just get a transplant and lying on the bed. They go back and actively contribute to the growth of
Contribute.
society.
Absolutely. And I think that's how a nation should look at its citizens and population. So, whatever we have discussed so far, if I want to summarize in short, uh, we are able to provide transplant only to 5% of the people out of the entire pool who need it. So, only 5% of people get it out of those who need. The costs are exorbitant from 6 lakhs to 35 lakhs. Every Indian knows this is absolutely unaffordable. People will slip below poverty line trying to access it. We do not have very strong public sector which is providing it. And either the insurance is not supporting transplant, or even if they do, their post-operative care is not available in private or public insurance. Definitely immunosuppressants, if they are needed lifelong, then no insurance supports it.
Yeah,
In this situation,
most of the
mo-
policies don't seem to
do not.
support lifelong insurance.
State
Yes, especially.
insurance definitely do not any. What, so to me what seems is that we require a complete transformation of how we make transplants accessible to people. And I'm thinking, you have cancer patients who will need it. I mean, transplant in itself is a treatment, but also is an important part of a comprehensive treatment for a lot of diseases. So if we want to think radically and in very different, what is an ideal situation according to you where we can make something life saving of this extent available to people?
Yeah, so I mean, if you want to think radically, and howsoever radical it sounds, or it sounds very aspirational, but the reality is that you cannot separate transplantation from how your health system is structured, right? So if your health system is structured based on universal health care, based on tax-based funding, where every citizen is guaranteed health services, to do it for in isolation for transplantation is always going to be a big challenge, because clearly the way it is structured right now, with the private sector doing most of it, the private sector, either then you create a mechanism by which the public sector becomes very strong, unlikely to happen overnight, or you regulate the private sector in a way that it becomes affordable. Now, I think there's every basis to do that. A determined state or a determined government can do it, partly because individuals who are donating the organs are donating it from a very altruistic notion. And therefore, to use that, which is a public good, for private use and profit out of it, it's something that really is unconscionable. And I think basically, uh, if one has to radically put it, either it needs the overall of the health system, or purely in transplantation, it needs a state, determined state, to say these are the rules of the game, and this is how we will promote equity access, and that's the distribution of organs will happen under that kind of principles.
Thank you so much for being with us. This was informative, and it's great we talked about something which is not talked very often. We should keep the discussion flowing further. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you.